Friends, as I explained in my last video regarding the TCS on-campus drive of 2018-19 batch, the process of written test actually, and in this video, short video, I will discuss the key points of interview, right? So again, I am saying is that please listen to me very carefully and. Don't look at what is written over there because it's nothing that important. I just write some key points in a bit hurry. No need to look at what is written in this PPT at all. Just listen very carefully and for some while, and I hope this will help you. And obviously, in my last video, actually, in the written test. Key points, obviously I just got the news regarding the new uh, format of TCS recruitment drive actually, and it's no longer I think containing those four separate rounds. So I guess I know some modifications are there actually. So I don't think that will help that much, but still at some extent the concepts or the strategies may help. If you find anything helpful, then it's good. Otherwise, you just ignore that. But obviously, that you can't ignore. That is the interview process, and hopefully, this will be same or kind of same. Nothing that different is there. So again, I'm saying is that in this video, I'm going to talk about those little bit practical scenarios or practical situations that you may have to face some difficult situation. And it's not like that you don't know anything, you know all the things that what to do. Obviously some tips, the kind of questions, the general format of interview, and the general making of general questions that are asked in the interview. In TCS interview, you can go in the Google it out, and you in the internet you find lots of questions like that. But why I'm making this video is that to give you some practical scenarios that these kind of situations may happen. And obviously I am giving you for very basic and simple level, right? So very low level. That means if a student is pretty confident that he knows everything, he's very confident, then no need to at all see or hear, I must say, hear this video or lecture. But if you still afraid, if you still are very much frightened about TCS, then I think this will increase your confidence, and you obviously perform well in the interview. So let's start from the main point actually. You know that interview is having three rounds, and I consider that you perform well in written and you qualify the written. So in the interview, obviously you are getting three rounds, basically technical, managerial, and HR. So initially there was no kind of round called managerial, right? This managerial round has been incorporated, I must say, from the last year, right, from 2017. uh, Actually what happened is that this round actually was there, but it was there inside the technical round. So in the technical round itself, you will face, or you um, might have faced the questions from managerial round. But from 2017 they just separated this two. That means it doesn't mean that you have to go into another panel and have to give. It may or may not happen. Obviously I know that in the interview, I know it's everyone knows that there is no such syllabus, right? You cannot ask your recruiter, or you cannot complain that why this type of questions has been asked. uh, this is uh, this is known to all. Basically in the interview, the questions, all the questions are valid actually. You might be asked questions from anywhere, right? So that's the thing. Yeah, a little bit of luck there, what type of questions you face. That may maybe very easy, maybe very hard. but that depends, right? But still you need to prepare well so that whatever the question is, you can able to answer at least something, right? You can just give your best in that question. And obviously it's not like that, if you have to answer, if you can't able to answer the hard questions, then you will be rejected. It's not like so. They also see the approach, the way you deal with the questions actually, right? So that's the thing. So obviously if I move to the technical round, the first round is a technical round, and hopefully you cleared the written test round. So again, the advantage here, I already told you that you are preparing well for the coding section, right? Because in this year TCS obviously focus and give a lots of focus on the coding, right? You have to be at least some extent you have to know coding, right? You must be at least some extent are efficient enough to do coding, some good coding. I'm not saying you don't know coding and you just somehow manage coding, but we have to do some good coding, right? So that means you prepare well for your coding. So that's preparation definitely going to help you in the technical round. What I already told you that in my previous video, that you are preparing well for the coding round, and this coding with different kind of languages, C, Java, C++, Python, etc. This will help you, definitely going to help you in this technical round, because whenever you are giving interview in TCS, and any kind of questions they, different kind of questions they may ask on coding, right? They may give you to write some program, obviously some small basic programs, and obviously some concepts obviously regarding programming they may ask. They generally they do not give any tough coding, because obviously on spot doing a tough and lengthy coding obviously time consuming, and they do not have that much time because lots of students are there. So I hope if any such kind of coding questions are there regarding any type of coding questions regarding from any language, I hope you can able to answer, and obviously at least prepare one language very precisely, very minutely. I must say very detailed. Kindly prepare one language, maybe Java, maybe C, maybe C++, right? So generally all the students like to do C, and for those who are a non-CSA IT students, for them obviously C is much uh, easier. So obviously for CSE IT student, they may prepare more than one language, maybe Java, maybe Python, and any other language. But for those mechanical, civil, electrical, both of from BTech, MTech, and MCA students should prepare at least one subject very well, one language very well, right? So that may, let's consider that is C. So obviously from C you have to able to do coding, and you may have to um, uh, give answers some conceptual questions. But as you prepared well and you get through those coding section of your written test, then no need to bother at all in the interview of the questions coming from programming language, because you are efficient enough. They know that you are efficient enough in coding. That's why you successfully able to get through of those coding rounds in the written test. What about the other section in interview? First of all, the very generic question that every one must ask, that is the introduce yourself or tell me something about yourself. Now prepare this very well, right? Prepare this section very well. Again, I'm telling is that maximum chances of asking this question is high, but if this question is not asked, then it's okay, right? Obviously you cannot say that why shouldn't I ask this type of question, right? Introduce yourself, that's the basic question. Or tell me something about yourself. So these type of questions, the chances of asking this type of question is high, right? But still I cannot say anything, you cannot say anything, no one can say anything that which question is going to be asked, or whether this question is surely going to be asked or not. So that's the thing. But if you have to prepare this question very well, right? and kindly don't give any kind of false statement in these answers, right? If you give any false statement without any backup, if they caught, then you will be straightforward rejected and you will not be placed for sure. So what I am suggesting you is that please speak the truth in the placement. Obviously, if you have some time, if you have something to do that you are thinking that I should incorporate in the CV, then in between that time, do something on that. If you want to incorporate one subject, incorporate some language, any skills, then do work on that without knowing anything. Please don't incorporate anything in your CV, as because they are going to read your CV very well, and they may ask questions from your CV directly. There is high chances, right? So don't give anything extra in your CV. Make it comprise, make it compact, and the more important thing, that is the extra thing that I must tell you, speak the truth. Yeah, many student may ask, I should make my CV in such a fashion that will attract the recruiter. So let's put some very interesting facts, some interesting subjects, some interesting skills. That is not going to help if get caught. Then why should you take risk? I must suggest you that don't take risk. If you, whatever the little bit skill you have, suppose one skill you have, then give that. You have a good grip on that skill, so any questions on that skill, on that quality, if asked, you can able to answer it very well. So that's one important thing that many students may not know, and try to make the CV much more attractive, much more beautiful. They incorporate those kinds of things. Please don't do that. This is, I strongly recommend, please don't do that kind of thing. And other questions like why TCS, why you want to join, these are the common questions. If you can go net and search, you can find many questions like this. So I am not going to uh, I going to tell you what type of question is going to be asked or what are the questions that you may face, right? You know everything about this thing, and in the net everything is given, and in the pre-placement talk also you have a very good idea about this kind of questions. So I'm not going detail into that. The next thing, that next key point that I must say, or practical problem that I must say, that is about different uh, domain of of TCS. That is maybe that is EIS, that maybe that is ITIS, or maybe that is IT. Generally digital enterprise generally does not come, or does not used to come, I guess. Then I may segregate the domains like EIS, ITIS, and IT. Depending on which domain you want to apply, you have to choose depending on that. So if I start from IT, then I must say that they are mainly focus on the coding section, different kinds of algorithm section, flowchart. Not that much core subject is required. They may ask some little questions, just for one liner, two liner questions, from very basic question from any core subject that you may have written in your subject of interest in the CV, and may ask, but there is very less chance. So if it's an IT interview, if you choose an IT, and obviously if you are from CSE IT background, then obviously again I'm saying listening to this section is listening to my video is obviously wasting of time. Because if you are a CSE IT student and you want to get into IT in TCS, then I'm sure that you are going to get, because there's nothing difficult for you. But if you are a non-IT CSE student, then obviously if you are going into IT, then hopefully you perform well in the coding section of written test, and you learn the languages or any language very well. So I hope this is very much easy, right? So no need to worry at all about, right? The students who do not perform well in the written test and do not learn any language or do not know how to code or do not have that much proficiency, then straightforward those kind of students are going to be rejected from the written test and you are not going to qualify for the interview. So no questions of that sir, I don't know coding, I am in the interview round, what should I do? That is only the luck factor which can save you. If you don't know coding and you still somehow manage to qualify that written test round, so the only thing is that the luck factor, that somehow you manage to get through, then obviously in the interview you are uh, not going to get any kind of those kind of luck factor, right? So if you are going for IT, then definitely you are going to have going to face the questions from the programming section, and maybe the programming section incorporates data structure also. So again, you know all the things about the subjects and the questions, I must say. Generally for C, I may suggest one thing that already you know, everyone knows, that is the Kanetkar book of Let Us See. You can go through the questions that is given in the last last section in the book, and it was written like interview questions or something like that. You may follow all the questions, and if you can able to solve and read all the questions, then you are going to get common question in the interview, right? So I think this is okay for a IT student, and I think everyone who is sitting in the IT interview of of TCS is going to crack it and perform well, I guess, until unless they ask some question that is very very difficult, you don't know. That thing I cannot say anything, because yes, such kind of question may be asked, right? So there is no syllabus of any interview in the world, I think you all know this. So that's the portion of the technical, right? So technical round consisting of these kind of things. These are the some strategies and some key points that you need to follow. And yeah, another thing is that for a non CACIT student, which subjects they must give. I, I I suggest that if you are a non CACIT student, try to go for the domain like EIS and ITIS. If you are not that much good in coding, then try to opt to in these kind of sectors, right? Somehow you can able to get through the interview by not facing that much of coding problems. So in EIS, if I say EIS domain, here if you are a non-CSCIT student or maybe CSCIT student, so in the EIS domain, you have to face questions from your core sector, right? So here what you have to do is that prepare at least two subjects very well. Your core subject and your subject of interest that you have to are going to give in your CV also, at least two subjects, because preparing one subject is bit risky, because if you prepare well and somehow you may face one question that you don't know, that will put you into severe trouble, because obviously knowing a subject totally is impossible, I agree. No one can able to grip one subject totally. No one can able to read all the things about particular subject. So I prefer two or three or maybe four subject. If you give, that will give you some free access, right? If you cannot able to answer the question, one question from a particular subject, you may move to another subject, but please don't restrict yourself into one subject. That will be risky. Yeah, if you are pretty sure, again I'm saying that you have lots of confidence that you know the subject well, you can answer any question, then only give one subject. Otherwise I prefer give two three subjects in the subject preference. And the EIS, they are going to ask questions from core, those who are from mechanical civil, from their core, those who are from electronics, their core, and ITCSE core also. So everyone is going to be asked questions from their core subjects, right? So the difficulty level of questions, I say conceptual level, uh, medium to easy, not harder, right? You are not going to face a questions from gate level question, or some difficult examinations like questions. You are not going to face that much difficult question. In general, they going to ask very simple conceptual question. Your basic concept regarding that subject has to be very much clear. And don't, again, I'm saying is that don't incorporate any subject that you don't know, just to show that you know lots of subjects, and you just put into the extra subject you don't. Please don't put, because again the same thing, if a question is asked from the subject, you fail to answer, that will create negative impact. So please don't do that thing. So again, from ITIS, a little bit of coding and little bit of core knowledge will be required, core subject knowledge will be required. But the question difficulty level is not that that much. It will be easy, I hope. If you follow this kind of things, then you can able to answer, right? So for sure. And actually what happens is that, when if you are asked that introduce yourself, tell me some interesting thing about yourself, tell me something that is not in your CV, the way you represent yourself, the way you tell about yourself, from that section they generally pick a lots of point to ask, right? So preparing this introduce yourself question well, it's definitely beneficial for you, right? So if someone prepare it very much well with a very sweet, very very intelligent strategy, that if you can grow interest by saying some important point in introduce yourself in them, then that is very much beneficial, because from them, from that point, they are going to pick up one domain, and in domain you have already have that knowledge. So that's a good kind of strategy, right, one can make. So I think in the technical section, these kind of questions you may face, and try to answer all the questions, or at least give your best to answer all the questions. Don't skip the questions. And if you cannot able to answer questions after questions after questions, you get nervous, afraid. I know things happen in interview. Anything can happen in interview. Suppose you somehow cannot able to answer any type of question in any of these domain, right? Obviously this generally don't happen until unless some very wrong happened with you, but generally these things do not happen. You all are smart to handle various kinds of questions. So what to do at that situation? Better to relax for some time and start with a domain. Please ask them to start with a domain that you have the best grip, right? Suppose a subject in electronics, that is digital electronics. Every student in electronics generally gives that subject. That's the easiest subject, right? Generally, that's the easiest subjects at some extent, obviously. So that generally all the students give this subject, digital electronics. Say I'm telling one example. Maybe mechanical, civil also there are that kind of subjects also that may be easy. So start from that subject and ask them to ask questions from that. From there, start answering the questions, and that will give you some confidence, right? So gearing up from a particular level is important, right? Please do this. If you stuck into some position, you fail to answer any of their questions, then please ask them, right? Tell them to start from some easy subject of your interest, subject you have the best knowledge. Okay. And yes, I must say that things happen, and this is always going to help you. I may not say, right? If somehow with your answer they are not happy, they are not satisfied, they get angry, then no one can help you, I know that. But still, these are the small tricks you may apply in the technical round of your interview. I think this is all uh, on technical round. I hope you will do well in technical also. Moving to the next round, that is managerial and HR. Actually, generally, managerial round happens along with the technical round, because in the technical round you also face questions like managerial. So let me tell you some examples what managerial round is. Right. So previously there is nothing called managerial round. If you go and search about 2016-15, there's nothing called managerial round, but it the questions from this round or from this domain is already asked from every year. These type of questions are asked. So what are the questions and how to deal with that? So generally these are very general thing, is that this very general thing that one situation you have to analyze, right? They will give you one situation and you have to analyze that. So what kind of situation? Maybe I'm giving one example. Maybe one example is that you have to do this amount of work, you have this amount of short time, how you will manage, whether you will do overtime, whether you will ask your boss to cut the work, or you may seek help from other friends, other colleagues. These are these are some options, right, with which you can solve. And obviously these type of questions, I'm not saying this is the question that you may face. This type of question, they will give you one practical situation, maybe some situation related to their environment, their industrial environment, with the environment in which you have to you are going to work, the organizational level. This kind of situation may happen and will happen surely. They give this kind, they ask this type of questions in managerial round. And again, how to deal with that? Obviously you don't know what is going on inside their mind, you cannot able to read their mind, you don't know what they want from you. But how to represent this kind of questions is that take as many load as possible into you. That means obviously you must say like that you can solve, or you do your best to solve that work that is given. You can do anything to solve that work. Your first priority is to solve that work at any cost, right? So these are the things. And obviously they may ask you some logical questions, right? Different kinds of logical questions, right? Whether you are okay with the teamwork or you want to work alone. They may give one situation, in situation you should work alone or you need a team. So this kind of situation questions they are going to ask. I hope many students or all of you can able to answer or handle this managerial round. There's nothing that difficult in managerial round, until unless they ask you some questions that put you in a severe dilemma, that in which way I have to choose. Yeah, there are certain questions, and if you cannot able to answer, then obviously you have to surrender. But generally many students can able to get through this managerial round. And definitely all the rounds are what already told, all the rounds are qualifying in nature. So if clearing every round will give you confidence, right? So you clear the written test, that will give you confidence. You clear the technical round, that is giving you confidence. So obviously you are boosting with confidence, so later stages will be easier, that you get some confidence that you are going to answer, and answer smartly, answer intelligibly, and answer very well all the questions that is going to be asked in managerial and HR. And yeah, HR round is that last round. Obviously you already know, and you all know that how to deal with HR round. There's nothing I must say extra, and there is no such strategies, because everyone know the strategies and key points also. There is no such key points in HR how to deal with. One key point that I've written all, yes, yeah, obviously whatever the difficult situation you might face later joining the organization, you are definitely going to fight, or definitely going to face that. So all, yes, whether you are okay with working for 24 hours, or any shift you can work, you are you able to work or not, can you work or not, can you are you okay with reallocation? So these kind of questions you are generally faced. And all, yes, yeah, so you nothing no in the HR round. Generally, obviously, you have to listen the question very well. So if this kind of questions is asked, then all yes must be there, you know that. And these are only the trick in the HR round. Generally they won't give that kind of tough difficult question. But one thing that I should suggest you regarding my experience is that just have some idea about TCS, right? Have some idea about TCS, about this organization that I already know. You know that. You will search, and you are going to definitely give take some input and collect some information about the TCS, about this organization, the historical background, a little bit, not that much. So you may be asked the questions from HR round, right? Yeah. I should not tell this, but this is very harsh truth is that HR round in TCS is also qualifying in nature. So please don't think that if you perform very well in all the rounds and if you do horrible in HR round, you are going to qualify and you are going to get your placement. No, it's wrong. It's possible that you may not get placed if you perform poor in HR round, right? So you have to qualify this managerial and HR round well, right? So there is nothing be much so much sure that you will going to qualify. Yes, if you perform well in all the rounds in HR round also, then it's sure that you are going to get placed. But my suggestion is that perform well in all the rounds, right? Don't take any rounds as granted, because there are chances, right? Don't take risk, I must say. Yes, I told that the evaluation is based on the performance of all the rounds, not only a single round. But still I don't know what is there, right? Every year this changes, these strategies changes. These are the core and inner strategies that no one knows except of those persons recruiting. So I suggest you that do your best in every round that you have. Don't do any kind of work or any kind of don't do or don't take any of these rounds of interview rounds as granted. I hope you understand, and you are all intelligent enough to perform well, and I hope you are surely going to do well in all the rounds in technical, managerial, and HR and TCS, obviously. Yes, other misconception are there. Some misconceptions are there in some students, that things happen in interview. There's nothing, no such points, no such rules and regulation in interview, right? What type of questions you are going to be asked, what type of scenarios you may face, it's nothing, no one can say. Everything happens in an interview, right? So first be sure about that. uh, Anything can happen, right? So just be practical. So be practical. Some cases are there where things go very smoothly, but some cases are there where things go horribly wrong, right? So the misconception is like some about some rejection panel, presence of some rejection panel. No such panels are there, right? So please don't misconcept, don't have this kind of misconception. No such kind of panel is there. If you perform well, then you are going to be placed. If you perform poor, you are not going to be placed, right? So that's very clear. Some students may ask that if I fail, if I get that panel, I'm going to get rejection, as because that's the rejection panel. So nothing like that, right? You, if you do not perform well, you are going to you are going to be simply thrown out. So this is the thing you must know. Again, another thing is that the kind of performance you will give, yes, that varies, right? Your performance may be best according to you, but maybe they are not satisfied with your performance. So nothing like that, I perform well, still I fail to do good, still I fail to get the placement. So it's not like that. You are wrong. It may be your approach, maybe your way of giving answers. Maybe some of your answers are not valid, or they do not like. So these kinds of things are there. So just be prepared mentally also. Nothing like that. Those things happens. So these are some bit of things of misconception that many students have, and don't be afraid, don't get nervous, right? Don't be afraid in the interview panel, right? So it's very much difficult for anyone, any student, to gear up again. Yes, I know some scenarios where the students able to gear up from a very nervous situation, but still it's not a general criteria, right? Everyone cannot do that. Then better not fail into those kind of situation. Do perform well from the very beginning, deal all the questions smartly, answer intelligibly, and you can easily get through, right? So I guess these are some kind of misconceptions. Now any other misconception is not coming into my mind. So that's all about this. I hope everyone will do their best in this placement process, and no need to worry about, because this is not the end of your journey. Lots of other chances are there. Obviously, if you fail to get into this, then chances are definitely there. Then no need to be that much worry. No need to give up, right? So nothing that kind of thing. But yeah, everyone wants this company, right? Every student wants this company. From my experience, I must say that initially things happen, right? If you fail to, if you are thinking that, okay, I'll get another job or something, but losing the chance of getting placed in TCS is going to definitely make you sad. I'm for sure, right? Until unless you're pretty sure about some other career objectives. But if you want into a organization, right, any IT companies, then losing this chance is definitely going to make you sad. So better give your very best. Don't lose this chance. Just try to give your best to get into this organization, right? So this is a very nice company, you all know. So that's why so many students every year fight a lot to get into in TCS. So what I suggest is that do your best, don't lose hope. And I know every year every year the recruiting formats are getting changed. Things are being very much difficult for a non CSAIT student, as because they are putting very much concentration on very much weightage on the coding sections and the coding parts. The difficulty level is also increasing. So obviously you have to cope up with all these kind of things, you have to deal all these kinds of things. Maybe next year also you may see some other kind of strategies with some more difficult kind of programming concepts. So why should you take any risk? You just go give your best in this year and get through this, and try to get in on campus drive, because later in off campus things become difficult as the number of competition is high. So I hope this will help you, and you will give your best in the campus placement drives, and definitely many of you, maybe all of you, will get placed in this beautiful organization. And I wish you all the very best, and hope these bit of strategies will help you, because there is lots of strategies are there. You go to the net, in the YouTube, in the Google, many strategies, many things are there, right? So students are well intelligent, and they go and find out the questions of everything, right? So the basic thing is that these video will give you a bit of confidence. What I say is confidence, and gear you up, push you up, so that you can perform well. And again, you can do uh, again some tricks where whether you in situation meet may so happen, you need this kind of tricks. So that's all for this, and I hope you perform well and give your best, and obviously
I hope all of you will give the status that placed in TCS status, and wish you all the best. And yeah, that's it.